I'm going to smash the record button.
Yeah, dude, let's get started. I've got dinner to eat. I've got a few things to do, so it's going to be a long night for me too.
All right, well, let's keep this short and sweet then.
Excellent. Vámonos. That means go.
Okay. No pressure.
The Murder Hobo Show presents the Savage Rifter Podcast.
Oh, where are we?
Oh my god, there's a robot!
What? Run away! Run away now! What?
I don't know what's happening.
Where are we?
I don't know.
Gosh, like we're falling through rips in the time-space continuum.
We're in the middle of a war zone.
The Savage Rifter Podcast.
Welcome to the Savage Rifter Show, Episode 7. I'm one of your hosts, Gary the Murder Hobo, and I'm here with none other than world-renowned and infamous riff superstar, DJ Jazzy Diaz of the Savage Riffs G+ community fame.
Y'all ready for this?
I'm going to insert some wiki.
Wiki. What's going on, Gary? Good to meet everybody. As always, or good to see everybody, even though you guys are on Radioland. We do see some of you every once in a while. I've had a couple people stop me at the mall, stop me at a convention. I'm looking forward to going to Tucson Comic-Con. So anybody going out there, give me a holler, come by, stop by. I'll probably be hanging out with Hankrin most of the day from Index Card RPG. If you don't know what that is, look that up on Google+. Big fan of that. But thanks, Gary, for doing everything that you do as usual. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 7, Mars. And no, we are not going in a spaceship to Mars. We're going to be talking about mercenaries, adventurers, rogues, and scholars. Looking forward to it, Gary.
Yeah, me too. This is the part of the package where you can use this Mars deal to import characters from other settings and stuff like that. And my favorite settings, 50 Fathoms. I'm looking forward to figuring out how to get some of those guys over here and start doing some lambasting with my favorite characters. But
yep, you want to bring the R into riffs, right?
Exactly.
I can't wait. I can just imagine Sharkman carrying around cannons, walking around riffs. That's all we need.
Yeah, the Atani. They fly. They are like little, flying people or whatever, and I fly down on top of you and lambaste you with my laser guns. This is a podcast all about Savage Worlds riffs. We break down riffs piece by piece so Victor can teach me and you, the listener, how to play, enjoy, and understand riffs. I was going to ask you what we're doing today, but we've already said what we're doing. Today's Mars. Right, Victor?
I hope so, because if you don't know, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that's what we're doing.
Sounds good to me. Let's go.
Okay, so over the next few episodes, we will be discussing the Tommorow Legion Players Guide chapter by chapter. I'm very excited for the Mars, as you can tell. I love a good candy bar. And let's head over to News from the Riffs.
It's the goodness of milk, sugar, glucose, and thick chocolate in a Mars that helps you work, rest, and play.
Hey there, Mr. Suit-wearing guy. Yes, that's me. Don't I know you from someplace before? Yeah, I do know you. What's new with you, man?
Well, I suppose I could tell you what's new.
From the Rifts.
I was checking out the Savage Rifts community, 527 members. It's getting up there. Pretty soon you're going to...
Not too shabby.
Yeah, pretty soon we're going to have to get some Kool-Aid out, maybe quell the masses.
Oh, I think we're going to have more than Kool-Aid. I was absolutely ecstatic when I saw we went to 500. If you guys haven't heard on the previous podcast, I was through the roof. I'm just hoping to hit 1,000 before the end of the year. I know that's kind of a big lofty goal, but the way things have been going, this snowball has been getting bigger and bigger as it's been moving down the hill. I need to know from the community, and I'll post something up here in a little bit over on the Google Plus page. If you guys were interested in a Savage Riffs only convention in Arizona, in the winter, so it's not like 150 out, right? For those of you Canadians that think 75 is hot, is shorts weather, yeah. If you guys would be interested in a Rifts and or Savage Worlds only convention, preferably Rifts, right? Rifts Palladium version, Rifts Savage Worlds version, or any kind of mishmash in between, would you guys want to attend? If I can get enough people and enough work going through here, we might be able to work something out probably early next year. But again, it's in the early planning stations, but we got time to put it together. So if you guys like that, let me know. Hit me up on Savage Rifts Google Plus page. You guys know where to find me.
Yeah, Arizona is kind of a hotbed for conventions. You've got quite a few famous people that live in the area. I mean, at least as far as Rifts and Savage Worlds go.
Yeah, just in the gaming community alone. I've said this a bunch of times on a couple of other podcasts. I think we have probably about 20 creators for RPGs, writers, publishers. Hello, Shane Hensley, Pinnacle Entertainment Group. He lives and runs games, and the whole company is right there down the street in Arizona, right here in downtown Phoenix area, Phoenix metro area. So yeah, there's a lot of folks, even in the Tucson area. There's quite a bit of writers, quite a bit of podcast guys. It's a hotbed of creative work that's going on out here. Absolutely love it. I didn't really notice it until about maybe 3 or 4 years ago when I started to spend more time on the Google Plus page and got to know more names, was more familiar with the people, and then I started to realize, hey, this community is literally in my community, in my backyard. So it's absolutely awesome to be able to live around those kind of creative folks. I'd love to see them do more stuff for Savage Rifts and really, drive that brand. And I don't get paid for any of this, for those of you that are thinking that, but just love the game, love to play with people who enjoy the same passions as I do. So yeah, if you guys are interested, let me know.
Yes, the Nerds International crew is going to be heading to Con on the Cob November 9th to 12th at the Days Inn, Richfield, Ohio. I'm actually going to make the trip. I'm going to be bunking up with Chris. It should be fun because
boy,
he's never cuddled with a man my size before, I'm sure.
Guard your daughters, ladies.
That said, I need to clarify my technical stupidity. And we need to do a redo on one of the sections that I've been trying to stick in the podcast for 4 episodes. Unfortunately, when I was editing the last episode, I released it with like 15 minutes of missing stuff. That missing stuff is the Google Plus Community Savage Rifts thing that me and Victor had done in, I believe, episode 3. But Victor started talking about it, and it was such a big section that I wanted to give it its fair shake, and it just kept getting put off. Anyways, what happened is usually when I throw stuff into Audacity, I usually do it in layers. I've got the top layer, which is where all of our voices go. And then I can separate that layer and drop in the nexus points, the news from the riffs, and all that other kind of stuff. But because I had this third piece from the Savage Rifts community, it was on a third layer. Now, that's all fine and dandy when you're stuffing it in the first 10 minutes, but when you're working on the 50 or 60 minute mark of the show, you can't see the first. And so I was adding some things in and dropping thises and that's, and I accidentally deleted the entire section where we were talking about Savage Rifts. After I posted it, I'm like, I finally got that file off of my desktop and I deleted it. And then not too long after I posted it, Eric's like, you got this great big dead space in your file. And I'm like, what? So I went back and looked at it, and that's what I figured out that I had done. So we're going to do that section right now, and I hope you're ready for this, Victor, because you've already had a practice round. So if you're hesitant to get over to the G Plus community, maybe you're thinking, not another social media, or maybe G Plus sucks, or maybe you're just too lazy. I'd like to take a second to go over what you will find in the Savage Rifts community with the man, the myth, the legend, the controller, the supreme commander of the Savage Rifts G Plus community. Now, I have it up on my deal here, so we're just going to go over section by section some of the stuff that you're going to find if you come over and join the 527 other totally radical people that take part in this community. Take it away, Victor.
Oh, it's my turn. Okay.
Pressure's on, bro.
Yeah, no pressure. Ladies and gentlemen, the Google Plus community, as usual, I always say this all the time. You guys know what it's about. The content made by the fans and for the fans of Rifts and Savage Worlds. I've got 527 members, and I guarantee you half those members have posted at least one conversion, one rule, one vehicle, one picture, one art, something that's been out there for the Savage Rifts games. And that's what it's all about. We've got a whole bunch of stuff in there. So we're going to get started right into it with Adventure Seeds. Awesome section. You can find lots of Adventure Seeds for any of your games that you're playing throughout Savage Rift, regardless of what part of the world you're in. Remember, Rifts is very local. You can play with your backyard map. Just find one, download Google Maps, print it out, and go off of that. Trust me, you can find a bunch of Adventure Seeds in there. We have Anything Can Happen Thursdays. Want to give a big shout out to the guy who started this whole thing here, Dustin Smith. ACHT is the acronym for that. And Anything Can Happen Thursdays is pretty cool. What it is he posts once a week on Thursday a adventure seed or a scenario or anything that he wants, pretty much. I pretty much let him run rampant on that. He puts up all the weird stuff on Anything Can Happen Thursdays. The aliens land on Earth, that happens. He puts it up there. So here's an example. He talks about Anything Can Happen Thursdays. This is the last one he did last week. The party is in a settlement when they are approached by a tavern owner. He tells the party an unfamiliar DB has wandered into his bar and he's not sure about them. If the party investigates, they find out what appears to be a gray broadkill. So use the steps with broadkill for cybernetics and make it a wild card is what his suggestion is. The DB is smoking a cigar, attempting to tune a radio when he realizes the party is watching him. He turns, shaking the radio. He says, "Oh, hey, any of you guys know how to find sports on this thing?" And you're off and running. That's Anything Can Happen Thursdays. And it's an awesome little thing. If you go in and click on that part of the community, you can find all of his postings, a couple of mine, and a couple of other pictures and other things we've put up. That one's a lot of fun. It's fun just to read that one. So thanks so much, Dustin. I appreciate what you've been doing over the last couple of months, posting almost every Thursday there. And I've been filling in the gaps wherever we can. Character Showcase. Now, the Character Showcase is kind of cool. A lot of the guys will post a lot of characters that are either pre-gens that they've modded or characters they've rolled up, and they'll pull pictures off the internet, put some stuff together, and they kind of just put it out there. And I've even put in one, I think it was my legless leyline wizard. He didn't have any legs, and he had a telekinetic belt, so he would float everywhere that he needed to be. It's kind of like Smoke, and and he got his legs blown up, and when he was fighting for the coalition, and he didn't want cybernetic legs because they found out that he was a wizard or he could do magic. So he had to run for his life, and he didn't get a chance to get those replaced. And it's a whole nother story for that one. But lots of stuff like that's in the Character Showcase.
Yeah, somebody has done cybernetic techno warrior Logan, aka Wolverine.
Yeah, exactly. And that one's pretty awesome. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you can do, right? That's what Rift's all about. You should be able to take any character, any kind of pre-gen or anything that you've done, and you were talking about bringing something in from 50 Fathoms, so that's a great example. Once you get that put together, post it on there, and I'm sure there'll be 100 people wanting to look at that. One of the next ones up is Castle Refuge. Now, if you've read the Tommorow Legion Players Guide, you know that Castle Refuge is where all of the Tommorow Legion is living and trying to be the bastion of hope for all of the planet Earth. So you'll find lots of maps, lots of descriptions, lots of other stuff that you can use in your game regarding, if there's any kind of people, NPCs, special characters, or anything like that. The next one is the Secret Documents, Enemy Tactics. This one was, I believe it was R.S. Tilton. He came up with the idea for me to be able to create a section or a book or whatever you want to call it, a series of articles called the Secret Documents, Enemy Tactics. And it was just his suggestion after I had posted a recommendation from someone who had asked about how to run a Splugort slaver and the slaver women that are on the giant floating barge. How would you use them in combat? Because that can be a pretty complex fight if you don't understand the different dynamics and all the little things that go along with that. So I posted it up, and it was a pretty long post, and everybody really, I got a lot of hits off that, a lot of +1s for that. So R.S. Tilton said, yeah, you should call it the Secret Documents, Enemy Tactics. You should do that every week. So I have faltered on that a little bit recently. I've been a little bit busy with life and my kids and a few other things. But yeah, there's all kinds of enemy tactics. You can go into that section and you can see all the different postings that a couple of people have put up. Most of the postings are the ones that I've put up. It's called Rift Secret Documents Enemy Tactics. And
Get it together, Victor.
Hey, come on now. I've got a lot of pots in the fire here trying to get my things together. Next up is files and forms. Out of the Savage Rifts G Plus page, there is a lot of files and forms. The Google Plus community are one of the biggest contributors to this Savage Rifts page. They post stuff all the time. It can be everything from conversions of their own character classes, their own IFs. They have one of the ones that I absolutely love is the Savage Rifts table tent that Sean Masters posted recently. I've been putting together the Naruni weapons catalog. There's a PDF of that in there. Just a slew of different cards, characters, OneNote books, wound calculators on Excel. Literally just a whole bunch of stuff in there. If you're looking for downloads and other things to look for, you can find a lot of useful tools and a lot of useful character sheets and other things in the files and forms section. From the Rift. From the Rift is one of my favorites. This is where we get all the good stuff, where everybody tries to import every single character, model, NPC, adventure, everything from 50 Fathoms, the Savage Bestiary, Caledon Falls from Suzerain, Thunderscape, the World of Aiden. Everybody just tries to put in everything. Shane Tar, Beasts and Barbarians. They all come up with all kinds of stuff. One of the posts that I put in there recently that was kind of stirred some interest was a picture of 5 swords pointing up in the air. And the first sword is He-Man. The second sword is Thundar the Barbarian. The third sword was Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe. The fourth sword was Lion-O from Thundercats. And the fifth sword was Link from, Link the video game, Zelda. The Zelda series. And I started talking about it, and all I said was, for those of you who don't know, they are these people. Would anybody be interested in creating some conversions for these heroes pictured to be used in Savage Rifts? And one of the things I was thinking about doing was importing and rifting all of these characters in as a party. And Skeletor and everyone else is going to come in. You know, you could play a whole nother game of Rifts with that. That's a whole different kind of game, but I thought it would be pretty fun. And that's one of the kind of stuff that we try to post to the From the Rift section. The next section up in the Google Plus community is miniatures. Now, there's not a lot of models or miniatures out for the Rifts game. There is a few metal ones that you can find that are kind of old school that have been around for at least 20 years that are from their actual Palladium models, miniatures that are made, the Glitter Boy, a few Coalition soldiers, a Samus pilot, a few odds and ends that are there. But I do know that there is a gentleman that has some 3D printer models that he's been working on. I'm trying to scroll through here to remember his name. Forgive me if I don't remember. But I know they've been talking about getting those to everybody soon. So hopefully we can get some of those 3D models to use in the game that we've always talked about doing on Tabletop Simulator. Because I think that would be absolutely awesome to see a Glitter Boy to scale in there. But not just those 3D models. Lots of other miniatures. People have done a lot of great conversions. Sean Masters is one of the really big ones. He's been doing a lot of good stuff in there, showing us his pictures and the conversions of his Glitter Boys, kit bashing, and just a bunch of stuff. He has a URA one that he kind of sculpted from other models and stuff. There's some paper models in there. There's even a YouTube video called How to Make Paper Models for Dungeons and Dragons, making paper minis, but the same theories. And I know, Gary, you've done quite a bit doing paper models. You could easily use all of Gary's videos and all of these videos that are in there. Roland Renhack was actually the one who posted it. He was talking about how to make paper miniatures, because there's a lot of photos of, different types of power armor, robots, and characters for Rifts, but there's not really a lot of a market for, there is a market for it, but there's not a lot of anything that you can buy. So if you wanted to convert some, if you're, good on Photoshop, GIMP, Inkscape, Illustrator, whatever, you could easily come up with your own paper models to be able to play that. And there's a lot of folks that have talked about it, but I haven't seen a lot of people post anything. I actually have, I think, most of the paper models have been posted in that area. But moving on, next we have the Naruni weapon catalog. As I was saying earlier, one of the things that we did was we gathered some of the folks from the play-by-post at savagerifts.com, some of the information that they had put together, and about all the weapons from the Naruni enterprises, put it all into a PDF, and we have a couple of posts in there talking about Tangler grenades, Dragon Slayer rifles, and there's a big old Google Docs document that has like probably 50 different types of weapons from Naruni Enterprises. They're aliens that come down, and they're pretty much the Walmart of guns and ammo. So they come down and they sell to all the people of Rifts Earth because, we need them to survive. And they're not stupid. They know how to make money, so they sell it to anybody who's willing to pay the exorbitant prices. Since a lot of that stuff wasn't included in the original books, we put our heads together, and Jason Kubik was actually one of the ones who helps run most of that stuff in over on the Play by Post site. So he was able to provide a lot of that site's information. I threw a few of mine in there and put it all into a PDF and made it a nice little catalog. It looks pretty good, actually. Next one we have on there is OCC and RCC conversions. Now, if you are a longtime player of Rifts and you have some Savage Worlds experience, so you understand the system a little bit, and you're looking to see how everybody else is converting this stuff over, this is the place you want to go. They have everything from Nightbane, Psy Ghosts, Mystic Ninjas, Lumerians, the Nega Psychic, one of my favorites, Undead Slayers. I mean, these guys are all just putting out just huge lists. The Tattooed Man, how to play a Devil. A Devil is not even a player character class. It's a monster, but somebody wanted to play one, so they posted up their conversion. Tattoo Magic, Stone Magic, the Ludicrous Mage. Someone dared me to put this up to see if someone would convert it, and my friend Dustin Smith, thank you so much, Dustin, he put up his version of the Ludicrous Mage for Savage Worlds, and I think it's absolutely awesome. The Godling, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I think we've been posting, this has probably been one of the most popular ones of all the postings that we have, because we've got slews and slews of it. It goes back like 9 months. Okay, next up, one of my favorites. If you guys don't know, I'm a big mech head. I like gears. I like, mechs, Mech Warrior, Robotech, big robots, power armor, that kind of stuff. So the Robot and Power Armor hanger has a nice special place in my heart. One of the things that I did, because people asked for it, is I created a large document or a spreadsheet that has all of the stats for every variant of the Glitter Boy in the Rifts catalog. Absolutely ridiculous, right? Well, it did take me a while. It took me a lot of calculations and some good old-fashioned, comparisons, math, and statistical analysis, and a few other things. Believe it or not, it is in there. And I put it up on Google Docs, and I named it the NEMA Archive Boomers. So I call it a guide to Glitter Boy Power Armor and its variants, and it's been updated, and there's lots of things that's been going on with that.
Did you add the Quebec poutine making?
That option will be added in the next update.
Excellent. I'll be looking for
Gotta
it.
have it. Yes, lots of stuff like that. I mean, lots of little options, lots of things like the Robotech Nova Cyclone, all the Red Hawk Power Armor, the Aurora Blazer, even some of the Bio Armor stuff from the Lemurian catalog, from Lemurian Coral Bio Armor is a good one. One of my favorites is the Naruni Reaper Combat Robot. You want to talk about a missile launcher. This thing has like micro missiles all over its body. It's absolutely awesome. I think it can do like 600 plus micro missiles all in one shot. Absolutely a lot of fun. It's a one-shot wonder, but it's absolutely a lot of fun. The Death Knight Power Armor for the Coalition. Just a bunch of pictures, a bunch of models, and a lot of great stuff from who I think was probably one of the best artists in the game right now when it comes to illustrating for RPGs, and that is the one and only Chuck Walton. He does work for Palladium. Absolutely phenomenal sketch artist, black and white artist, color artist. I just love the style. I like the look of his stuff. It's really easy to look at, really nice. Clean lines. Just a big fan. If you guys haven't noticed, just a big fan of him. So thank you so much, Chuck, for sharing your artistic talent with us for so many years. Keep it up. We'll keep buying the books. They're absolutely awesome. So if you guys are into robots and into power armor like I am, take a look through there. You'll find a lot of good stuff you can spend some time with there. The next category up is spell conversions. Now, yes, you guys are thinking like, Victor, how many freaking categories are there? There's a lot of categories, only because Rifts covers the gambit, right? It covers every single genre from every single game you've ever seen. So we have discussions regarding the Book of Magic and the spell conversion section. We have all kinds of, mega powers, mega horror powers, different talents from different systems. Just a whole variety of stuff that's in there. It's not as full as I would like it to be, but stay tuned. You guys might see the Book of Magic for Savage Rifts coming out soon. I might be working on something like that. Another section that gets a lot of work is the rules questions, the rules Q&A. A lot of people are trying to figure out how to do Techno-Wizard devices. How do I make a Mind Melter, and what are these options, and how do I do this again? What happens when you throw a Cybernite together with a Beholder? Oddball questions that most people don't come up with. Those are a lot of fun, and what a lot of people don't know is that Sean Patrick Fannin, one of the writer of Savage Rifts, and Clint Black and a few of the other guys that work for Pinnacle Entertainment Group, for Savage Worlds and that whole publishing company, they pop in all the time and they answer questions and they're right on top of it. I really don't have to chime in too much, because these guys are all a part of the Savage Rifts community. Like I said before, by the fans and for the fans. Those guys are fans, so they're in here answering your questions and trying to take care of all the crazy zaniness that you guys come up with. Because I still don't know where the heck we get all these questions from. Sometimes I think these guys make it up, but they're legit. A lot of the times they come back with some really interesting answers to them, and I didn't really expect it. So thank you so much, Clint Black, Sean Patrick Fanning, for taking time out of your busy schedules to take care of the community. We do appreciate it very, very much. Right after the rules questions is sorceries and psionics. This one's kind of fun because you talk a little bit about what magic spells you can cast. How do you cast spells with high PPE requirements? How does the solar eclipse affect Earth? What about the shape change superpower? How can you use that, and how drastically can you pull that power out of whack? Can you play, a grizzly bear down to a mouse and all that other stuff? What are the things that you can do? What are the limitations? And sometimes we say there are no limitations, which is really scary. But other people are like, no, I can't have my entry-level character turning into a dragon and turning into a mouse all in the same episode or the same encounter. And I've always said, why not? But lots of fun questions going on for sorcery and psionics. Vehicle garage, kind of obvious, right? We talk about all the different vehicles. I actually saw blueprints for the Mark V armored personnel carrier for the coalition states. So if you guys are looking for stuff like that, go into the vehicle garage section. World building is a lot of fun because we talk a lot about the world books, a lot about what's been going on all throughout the different countries, the different part of the United States, Europe, Japan, all kinds of stories and adventure seeds. I put a lot of the Savage Rifts Voice of Hope podcast episodes and all the links to that in that section. So if you guys are fans of the Voice of Hope podcast like I am, go take a look at the world building section of the Savage Rifts G+ community page. You'll find a lot of links to all of his episodes. And last but not least, if you haven't heard any of the other episodes that we've done in the past, this is what, number 7, number 8? You can find all those links in the Savage Rifter podcast section. Just move those over today, kind of put them all into one section because everybody was asking me, where's this one at? Where's that one at? So hopefully we can get that cleaned up, some of the art put back in, and refix those posts. But you can definitely find them at The Murder Hobo Show Presents Savage Rifter and all the different episodes that we've done in the past. And that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, in a nutshell. That's it. That's all. That's nutshell. Everything. It's a massive nutshell. So you can see how Victor's got to take a breather, do a little bit of a stretch. But the Savage Rifts G+ community has literally so much content in it. And if you got questions, you got stuff that you want to know, you got ideas, you got things you want to share, it's the place to be.
If you're looking for a community that's welcoming, that's warm, that answers your questions politely, you don't have to worry about all that garbage out on the other groups or in the other parts of the internet that we unfortunately have to deal with sometimes. I moderate. I am the only moderator, and I moderate the entire group. So you have to put in an invitation in order to get accepted. And I do go look and check and see what your previous Google Plus history is like, and take a look and just research a little bit, because I want to make sure that it's a real gamer. It's people that are out there, not just going to spam the account, not just going to start trouble because they like to start trouble. It's nothing about that. These are people with a passion to play role-playing games and to play Savage Rifts, and that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. It's nice to see the community growing. So, with that said and done, let's get over to the meat and potatoes. The pork chops and rice, the corn and steak. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
I said, oh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Then I ran out. I didn't grab no shoes or nothing, Jesus. I ran for my life. And then the smoke got me. I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Nexus Points.
All right, boys and girls, let's get out your Tommorow Legion Players Guide and let's start taking a look at page number 27, where we talk about Mars, the Mercenaries, Adventurers, Rogues, and Scholars section. Now, everybody's been asking me, what do we do with the characters that we want to bring in? I've got, I want to bring in Cobra Commander, Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe. And how do I do that? Hey, I've got a doctor that I want to bring in from another game from 50 Fathoms. He's the ship doctor. I have a Conan that I want to bring in through a rift. I want to play him in here. And of course, Savage Rifts gives you the ability to be able to go through every single one of those iterations, but it doesn't exactly show you how to make those characters. And this is where the Mars packages comes in.
The Mars package, excuse me there, it says when you're building your character and you want to use the Mars approach, replace the iconic framework with the following steps. So you start off by choosing, you roll in the Mars Fortune and Glory table. There's an actual table on page 30. You roll 3 times on it to modify your character sort of immediately. You know, you can increase your vigor, your strength, your spirit. It's kind of random and whatnot. I guess these things apply when you pop through the rift or whatever. But you also begin with 3 rolls on any of the Hero's Journeys tables that you like, which is really cool too. So, I mean, you can, you know, right away we're immediately into the customization before you've actually done anything. But here's something that I find really interesting as well. It says build your character as normal, but you start at level with 20 experience points, and you get your 4 advances that come with those 20 experience points. So that means that if you're going to play the Mars, you start at seasoned ranked, as opposed to the other ones that start at novice.
Right, and that's how Savage Rifts helps balance the power between your regular iconic frameworks and your Mars packages, because a lot of the edges and the abilities that the iconic frameworks start out with, you usually wouldn't get things like that until you're at least a seasoned or up in the hero area of experience levels. A Mars character needs those 20 experience points to be able to get all those extra edges, all those extra abilities, all those extra rolls on the different tables for Fortune and Glory or Hero's Journeys or whatever they may be. It helps create that balance between the two, because you'll be a capable character. Now, don't get me wrong. You're not going to play, you know, a wimpy little human that's going to get blown away on the first round. Well, no, I can't say that, because it can happen in Rifts. It only takes 1 railgun shot. But you will have skills and abilities and edges that'll be able to make your character not only unique in yours, but it'll give it some survivability and it'll give it some flexibility. You'll be able to do a lot more things than most of the iconic character classes can, simply because of that. You have that choice. You get those 3 rolls on the Fortune and Glory table. You get 3 rolls on the Hero's Journey table. And to top it all off, you get 20 experience points. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that takes you, for every 5 you can take an edge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to get 4 advances.
Right.
And that puts you at seasoned right out of the gate, which is pretty nice. Yeah. So, I mean,
so there's looking at least 4 edges. You're seasoned. You're going
let's say you wanted to be a caster. You're going to roll in. You can take extra magic or extra PP or whatever they call it.
Extra power. Power points. PPE.
You can a few extra spells, or you know, if you wanted to be a warrior, you can take brawny or berserk or something like that. You get like right out of the gate, you start off with a few cool things.
Sure, and even if you don't want to take edges, you can start taking dice advancements to your traits. So you can make that strength, instead of D6, to be D8, D10, D12. You can take those dice bonuses to every one of your skills. Take a specialization in the skill. That's a lot of flexibility that'll give you the ability to be able to make your character your own into whatever concept that you're doing. I remember Eric talking about, how can I bring Conan into Rifts, right? How would you do it? How would you do that? And I've heard that conversation a couple of times. How would I bring a fantasy level, beefy, brawny, Hulk smash kind of character, where all he does is bring in his beat stick and he goes and he attacks the enemy? I would start with the Wilderness Scout Mars package. It gives you a die type to your vigor, gives you notice, survival, tracking, makes you fleet-footed and woodsman edges. Yeah, I could see it. He's pretty good at chopping wood down, making a fire, feeding himself, hunting down, different types of animals or whatever. He's pretty good on his feet, doesn't require a lot of extra equipment or whatever to survive. He's learned how to keep an ear out for enemies when he's by himself. He's learned how to survive in the cold and the heat, and he's good at tracking animals because that's what he does. All those skills fall under Wilderness Scout. Give the character a double-bladed, big broadsword, vibro sword, just so he can compete with some of the bigger characters, and then see what the Fortune and Glory and Hero's Journeys tables come up with. Yeah, and you don't have to roll them. You can pick them. If you want to give him the one that I think it's number 7 on the Fortune and Glory table, or it says strong and powerful, it adds a die type to his strength and begins with the brawny edge. then give him that one. Hell, give it to him twice. It's Conan after all. I mean, he's supposed to be a big old brawny, broad-shouldered, strong, raw kind of character.
Yeah,
that's what I would do.
If you don't want to just randomly take your chances, in a situation like that where you're actually trying to bring Conan into the Rifts universe,
right? You have a clear character concept.
Yeah,
there's no reason why you need to have any variation in that. Don't roll it. Just pick it. Just talk to your GM and work it out. I almost guarantee you 9 times out of 10, the GMs are going to be like, yeah, sure, that sounds great.
Yeah, you could take strong and powerful, vigorous and tough. What else is in here that he could?
And you haven't even
favors
picked
the
Heroes
bold
Journeys tables yet. We haven't even talked about the 20 experience points that you got. So you can easily buff him up and to have like D12 plus 2 mega damage strength, a huge vigor. So he's not going to be falling anytime soon. And I can see Conan doing that. Sure, is a railgun going to kill him? Is a laser pistol going to burn through his heart and kill him in one hit? Probably. But welcome to Rifts. That's what the game's about.
Maybe he finds a chain sword or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he fights a Sumerian warrior for her weapon and takes her giant vibro sword from her and beats her in hand-to-hand combat. Now that's a story that I'm talking about. That's what Rifts is all about, and that would be cool to see.
So in a situation like that, let's say I wanted to bring in, a gunslinger from Deadlands. I'm going to give him his fortune and glory, three choices. I'm going to make a couple of rolls on the hero's journey and see what I can get out of that. I'm going to give him his 20 experience points. And what am I going to take? I'm going to take Merc Soldier, possibly.
Yeah, Merc Soldier. Well, it depends, right? It depends on what kind of character you want to bring. Do you want to bring like an ex-military, hard-ass, short-haired, black suit kind of gunslinger, or do you want to bring like a gambler, kind of down on his luck, so lost all his money, has a pistol and a few bullets in his pocket? Do you want to bring a wanderer, like an old one of those old westerns with what's his name, the big, oh golly, can't believe I can't remember his name. Clint Eastwood. Yeah, Clint Eastwood kind of character, kind of a vagabond cowboy, dirty. He's been out on the prairie for too long, and you can bring him up as a vagabond, a wilderness scout. You can even bring in maybe a gambler, or not a gambler, but a cowboy that works on wagons or is a blacksmith, and he can, he forges his own guns, his own rifles, and just give him the operator skills. He can drive, he can, be on a boat, he can pilot, he can fix things. He gets the ace and the MacGyver edges. I mean, there's no reason why you can pick, body fixer, and he could be like Doc Holliday. He was a gunslinger, but he was a doctor. Yep. So no reason why he can't have those skills. Pick a few odds and ends, take some fortune and glory, pick something from the hero's journey tables, use your experience points to up your shooting skill, up your agility skill, specialize in pistols or, something like that. Make it work. You just have to use a little bit of an imagination. And if you're worth your salt as a GM, you should be able to pull that stuff out of your hat and kind of make it work no matter what. Because at the end of the day, it's all trappings. I've heard that 100 times before, and I completely 100% agree with it. It's all trappings. What you say and what you do and how it looks on paper and how it actually plays in the game, it doesn't matter. What you portray is what it is. Yes. Doc Holliday's a good example.
So under the Mars packages, we've already gone over the body fixer. These are going to be your doctors. Now, it says that a medical professional and lifesaver, a body fixer cyberdoc is welcome anywhere she goes. Now, a body fixer, I like how they've called it a body fixer. That means you can either be, like, say, a robot repair.
Right.
Or you can be
a paramedic.
Yeah. Or the actual full-on, like,
medic.
A doctor, or you can be the repair that goes, you fix the mechs and stuff like that, which is pretty neat.
I completely agree with that concept. When you're talking about a doctor, the first thing that came to mind was Doctor Strange. There's no reason why you can't play a Mars character with a body fixer and use your experience points to give you the arcane background edge. Use some of your fortune and glory and hero's journey rolls to give you some bonuses to your magic and bonuses to your stats and your spell casting ability. And next thing you know, you have an surgeon who hurt his hands that can't work on people, but still knows how to heal and can do some of the basic roles, maybe with some penalties. But he can have a whole slew of powers. You could literally recreate Doctor Strange like that. I would probably play Doctor Strange as a leyline walker. As a leyline wizard, let me tell you, or any other leyline wizard or anything, and put me in my place. And he's like, all right, now what do? You're down to 1 PPE. Leyline wizard, leyline walker, excuse me, instead of a body fixer. But there's no reason why you can't if you want to be more combat oriented or more, lesser scale of a Doctor Strange comparison.
So the body fixer gets an additional die type to smarts. You get healing, some knowledge, you get an edge, and then you start with the Glitter Boys starting gear. Now I take it that you're not actually going to get the Glitter Boys armor. That's not what they mean. You just
don't
get his
start out with a Glitter Boy armor. But you start out with the same starting gear as they do. So if he gets like personal body armor, a Wilkes laser pistol, some money, and a survival pack or something, that's the same kind of equipment that this Mars package would give you.
Cool. So the next one on the list is called City Rat, master of the urban sprawl that represents civilization in a new world. What do you do as a city rat?
A lot of people don't realize when they're playing Rifts, just because civilization was destroyed by the Rifts, by the war, by the atomic explosions, by all the crazy weather and the 100 years of devastation that the Earth, fought back against what, human beings were doing to it. Despite all that destruction, there are still pockets of civilization, such as Chi-Town, Chicago, where the coalition states have built up this giant sprawl, big, tall buildings, coalition soldiers walking around the streets. It's all lit up with electricity, nuclear batteries, and, it has trains and buses and casinos and stores and everything else is in there. There's other pockets of humanity throughout the world that are very, very similar like that. And you can use a character like a city rat who knows his way around, who knows people, who can hack into certain computer systems, knows how to pick a digital lock, can override the security controls on a Mark V armored personnel carrier, hotwire it and take it over, take down a Samus pilot or a Skycycle pilot and, steal it. Do all those crazy things that the Cyber Rat was designed for, be able to hack someone's cybernetic systems, or maybe she knows somebody who knows somebody. That's kind of a cool edge to have. Streetwise is always good because you're going to be able to know all the right people, all the movers and shakers. The Scrounger edge, you get that. That means you can dig up a clip every once in a while. You can go looking in some of the piles of junk left over by one of the factories, and that you can find ammo in there sometimes. That's what the Scrounger edge is all about. And then she gets to start with the same gear as the Crazy, so probably a couple of weapons and some body armor is going to be pretty typical. But there's lots of technology that makes up what the Rift's Earth is still about. There's still large pockets of cities out there, maybe not as beautiful and as pretty as you would think a high-tech city would be, like Tron or one of the major metropolitan cities, even as they are today, but a little grungier, a little dirtier, a little more broken, maybe a few wires sticking out, a few lights not well taken care of. The road isn't as well paved, or only the roads are paved within the walls of the city, that kind of thing. So you can run the gambit of all those different areas. It
says that you get you can select cybernetic systems up to 4 total strain. Now, we went over strain earlier, and anytime you have like excess strain, you're going to get negatives. Every strain is a negative on your roll. So I'm assuming
point of strain, right?
Yeah, I'm assuming that you can take cybernetic systems up to 4 total strain and not suffer any. Those are your free 4 points, and then anything after your 4 is when you start to suffer strain.
That's up to the GM. I'd leave that up to interpretation, because if I was doing it and I was the GM, I'd be like, okay, you're a human. Say, for example, you're a human city rat, a Mars character. You've got a human has 6 strain. If you get 4 total strain, you get 4 for free. You don't have to pay the cash value. You don't have to pay the credits for the 4 points of cybernetics that you get. And then the other 2, if you decide to max out your strain, then that's up to you. But you'll have to pay for those extra 2 points. Or you can do what you just said, and you can say, hey, you can get 4 points of free cybernetics, and you don't have to pay for them. They're not a part of your strain, and you'll still have 6 left over. So that gives you a total of 10. If you start to look at how much power creep that is, in other words, the power level of that character later on, if they choose more cybernetics, they're going to be close to combat cyborg level power by the time you get done with it. So it's totally up to the GM. You have to be flexible like that to be able to give the character his stuff. But there's no reason why you can't play it one way or the other. You just have to, plan accordingly.
Yeah, cybernetic techno warrior, next on the list, also called a headhunter. I'm intrigued. Usually operating as a mercenary, heavily focused on improving his value via cybernetics. A cybernetic techno warrior. So this would be like Boba. I was just thinking, yeah, right?
Yeah, that's my Boba Fett. If Boba Fett had techno wizard, had a little bit of magic in him, that would be the cybernetic techno wizard. That's what I see whenever I think of that character. He's got the upgradable edge, right? So totally cybernetic out, cybernetic arm, a couple of legs, his back, his rib cage is, half his skull, something like that. He has all kinds of cybernetic systems. And then he has just the regular gear allotment for a combat cyborg. So he's going to have a big old heavy weapon, a nice melee weapon. He's not going to wear armor because he probably won't need it. He'll have the some type of cybernetic armor. But yeah, if I had to pick, what's a good example of a headhunter / cybernetic techno warrior? Yeah, Boba Fett.
Yeah, for sure. So it says you can choose the starting gear from the combat cyborg, crazy, or juicer.
Yeah, that's going to rock. Can you imagine?
Any of their stuff, which is pretty neat. Refresh me on the strain again. As a human, you get up to 6 strain points. So you could technically, when you start adding cybernetics to your character, is every one cybernetic 1 point of strain? So you could have like sort of 6 cybernetics. They're different, are they?
The cost of the cybernetic, the cost of the technology varies. Some cyber eyes may cost you 1 point. But if you got cyber armor, it may cost you 4 points. If you got a cyber arm, it may cost you 2 points. Cyber legs might cost you 3. It just depends. If you look in the sci-fi companion for the Savage World system, you can find some cybernetics examples. There are also some in the Tommorow Legion's guide. I want to say there's some more in one of the other books. I just don't recall which one it is. Savage Foes of North America might have some more cybernetics. But when you take a look at the cybernetic listings, it should have a list of how much it's going to cost in strain. And remember, for every point above your maximum, in this case 6 of what we're talking about, when you get your 7th point of strain, now you get a fatigue point. Mm-hmm. When you get your 8th point of strain, you get another fatigue point. I believe that's how it goes.
Okay, well, I'm trusting you on this one.
Well, you know what? In all honesty, there, good old Savage Worlds. It is easy to play and fun, fast and furious. But Savage Rifts, there's a hinkering in that all the time because there's a lot of stuff to cover, a lot of variations of combat, a lot of variations of the rules. And I am actually looking up strain as we speak. Okay, so it says if a character takes on more cyberware than her maximum strain, she suffers a permanent level of fatigue for each point over. The maximum possible is 2 points of strain. So I was right. In this example, if you have 8 points of strain of cyberware, that probably means you are, shoulders to feet, all cybered out. And you have a permanent 2 fatigue levels.
Yeah,
so that means you get a -2 to every roll.
Yeah,
trait,
and that's
combat or otherwise.
Yeah, that's a big deal inside of Savage Worlds, especially when your target number is a 4. That's a 50% reduction, pretty much. Exactly. Kind of
Even
anyway,
if you
right?
Take cybernetic systems, right, that give you the bonuses to be able to negate a lot of those penalties. You still have to worry about lighting, environment, speed, movement, targeting, range, rates of fire, and all those other bonuses. That stuff starts to add up when you start doing multiple combat attacks in a dark room off the top of a building while it's raining. Now you're at -8, and you're adding -2 because you have 2 permanent levels of fatigue. Now you're at -10. When you start to see those kind of penalties, yeah, you start to think twice about whether or not I should roll that die or not. Like how many of these bennies do I have? How many re-rolls am I going to get? Or can I get more dice to add to this roll? Because if you don't get at least 1 dice exploding, you're screwed. Yeah,
the -10. I've had -16 was I think the most that I ever rolled the dice on.
Dude, if you've ever had anybody play Savage Worlds for a long period of time and they've never played Savage Rifts and they're hearing us talk and they say, you were playing in a game where you got -16 in a Savage Worlds game? That's absurd. I mean, that doesn't happen. -8 is like one of those impossible task kind of things. But yeah, only in Rifts, right? Do you get a -16 on a task? What the heck were you doing?
That actually is in. We were playing Deadlands Noir with John Goff. I was outside the building in a vehicle. I crashed through the wall inside of the moving vehicle. Basically, did this stunt trick where I spun it sideways, had my gun out the window, and I was shooting. Well, I'm shooting blind because I just crashed through the window. I'm in a moving vehicle, unstable platform. And you name it, right? it just went and went and went. But I did it
for that one. Wow.
When it was all said and done, I was up about -16 and I used all my bennies and I didn't care. It was so much fun.
Dude, that's exactly what it's all about. We were playing in a convention game over at CritCon not too long ago. We've talked about this before. And one of the players that was new to Savage Worlds, he's like, I want to kick the enemy in the nards, grab the magical staff as she drops it, throw the staff at the vampire, in through the heart. So it was like a multiple action called shot in a dark room in melee. Yeah. Against like just like a beast. And he was rolling like, can I do that? And he's like, well, yeah, you can do that. And he's like, really? Because most games I can't do stuff like that. And that's what I loved about Savage Worlds. But he was rolling, like a -8, 9, 10 on many different rolls because of the multiple action penalties and everything else. But it was crazy. He burned 3 bennies and he got all of those things done. He like completely shut down the battle that day, like made it really short and quick because he's like, no one, even Sean was jamming that game and he was like, no one's ever done that before.
Yeah.
Never even thought of that. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. Next on the list is the Merc Soldier. Though they like to be paid, it's not always about the money. I love how they start that sentence because that's pretty sweet. The Merc Soldier is going to begin with an extra 5 skill points.
Weapons, shooting.
Yeah, you get a couple edges combat or 2 combat edges, and you can ignore the rank requirements, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah, exactly. Because now you can start picking the heroic and the legendary edges without having to worry about the rank requirements, and you can do some crazy stuff when you get up into those. Yeah,
your weapons of choice, be it close combat or ranged, which is kind of cool. It says if one of the choices is a grenade, take an assortment of 8 of any type.
Yeah, boom, boom.
And then
you get to pick up a body armor, you get the NG survival pack, and then you get your creds.
Yeah, so your typical Merc Soldier, Punisher, Commando.
Exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. One of the G.I. Joe guys. Anything that has to do with a mercenary soldier. I was thinking it would be great to be able to play a bunch of mercenaries that, kind of run around like the A-Team and they're all ex-Coalition or ex-Triax or ex-Northern Gun soldiers. And, they just go on different missions trying to rescue different folks. I think it would be a lot of fun to do like a series or a couple of one-shots with stuff like that. I think it would be neat because you could really get into a variety of different skill types. You get one guy that's a close combat expert, another guy that's a sapper, another guy that's a sniper, another guy that's a heavy weapons guy, another guy that's an OD guy. I mean, you can just do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. The operator, somebody's got to drive. You got Face.
Yeah, exactly.
Murdoch
you could take any one of these guys.
Yeah, Murdoch was the operator because he could fly a plane or he was always driving the vehicle. Face was the man that would go in and
the city rat.
Yeah, and then you've got
B.A. Baracus.
Yep, so he would be like the Merc Soldier, and I can't remember what the leader guy's name was. It's
John Hannibal Smith.
Hannibal Smith, that's right.
Yep, yeah. That's the one. Howling Mad Murdoch, B.A. Baracus, and Templeton Faceman Peck.
That's right. So Hannibal would have been probably like the rogue scholar guy, maybe?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
something
for sure.
along
You could
those
easily
lines.
give him that.
Very cool. So speaking of the operator, that's what shows up next. You get this package unites technical and mechanical mastery with the possession of a very useful vehicle. So you're going to get some driving, boating, repair, piloting, and then you get Ace and MacGyver. Sweet.
Yeah, those are awesome. Yeah, so you can not only pilot, but you can do some crazy stuff with while you're piloting, like dodging and shooting at the same time without having to worry about taking penalties to your piloting skills. And then the MacGyver edge, well, anybody who knows who MacGyver is, you could practically make a bomb out of a toothpick and some bubble gum.
Yeah, a little bit of time and you're blowing stuff up. Duct tape and dental floss.
Yeah, literally. And what do you use? A watch battery and a piece of foil from a bubblegum wrapper. I mean, it's crazy the stuff he puts together. This is one of the few packages too that gives you a vehicle. It's one of the few that actually gives you a signature vehicle. This one's an NG357 Magnum Turbo Hover Cycle, nuclear engine, and it says you can select that one or the Mountaineer ATV, which is a really great off-road nuclear-powered vehicle, big, heavy, beefy tires. It goes all over North America. I remember seeing that vehicle all over the place. Everybody loves it because you can mod it with all kinds of weapons and turrets, and I think it'll carry like 6 to 8 people. It's pretty much a mobile armored RV.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that. It says all 3 mods worth of weapons mounted for the hover cycle, and then the ATV says that it has 5 mods. So there's basically like slots that you can put specific weapons or
yeah, exactly. So if you want to put a mini missile rack on it, just go look up vehicle weapons under mini missiles, or even full blown missile launchers. You can just put them on there and it'll tell you, it's worth 2 points of mods, and there you go, there's 2. And you want to put a couple of heavy machine guns on the left and right hand side of the driver passenger side up front, there's 2 more points worth of it. And you just start tacking it on, and you get those for free as part of the package.
What are those little side carts called on motorcycles?
Side carts?
There's no fancier name than that.
Yeah, I think they're called sidecars, to be honest with you. I'm not sure if there's a fancier name for it, but I think they're called sidecars in the game.
Never mind having like a side cart where somebody could sit. I want a side cart of like 12 like mini missiles or something like that. Come up over the hill in my hover cycle
with a rail gun on the side of it. Yeah,
right, with little built into your sunglasses auto targeting.
Yeah, right? Exactly. This is Rifts. We can make that happen. Get an operator, get a techno wizard together. You find an old piece of junk. Next thing you know, it's a flying fortress with that kind of stuff on it.
Fantastic. What is this one? Personal concept option. So if none of the OCC packages in this section works for what you want, simply use this package's benefits to structure a framework to your liking. This is going to let you bring anything that you want into Rifts, and you strap on an extra 5 skill points, pick 2 edges of your choice, ignoring the rank requirements. You get an additional roll off the Mars Fortune and Glory table.
So that's 4 total.
Yeah, and you begin with the starting gear of any one of the iconic frameworks of your choosing.
Yeah, so if you get those players that are out there, trying to bring in everything from the kitchen sink, right? They want to bring in Superman from DC Comics. They want to bring Wolverine from Marvel Comics. They want to do all these special, unique characters that no one's ever done before. This is where you put them in there. You have a personal concept option. Just give them all the stats, all the abilities, all the bonuses, all the bells and whistles. Here, go crazy. Pick it and make the character class and all the options it has look and walk and talk just like the character concept that you're looking at. That's probably the most flexible option in the entire game when it comes to character classes.
Yeah, that's going to allow me to bring in my Grail from 50 Fathoms.
Yeah, or that's what I would use for you.
Right, and away you go. Either that or Merc Soldier if I wanted to be like more of a military guy or something like that. But that is super cool. That's the one that you would use for pretty much if it doesn't fall into something else, you go with the personal concept option, and you just roll right on into Rifts and away you go.
Yeah, and you know what? If you really think about it, if you go back and do the math on some of these, the only thing that the iconic frameworks have that the personal concept option doesn't have is maybe a couple of extra edges and or powers and abilities. That's really because it's all fairly balanced around the same thing. If you look at it, you only get a certain number of skill points that you get bonuses to. So, you don't start out with a D4 in fighting. You get a D6. Well, there's a couple of skill points and so on and so forth. On the edges, the different edges that you get, the number of rolls that you get on the tables and all that other stuff, it adds up. And when you compare the two, an iconic framework like a Leyline Walker, and then you created a personal concept option like your character, when you start to add up the number of edges, the number of points spent on skills and attributes and bonuses and all that other stuff, it pretty much balances out. This is what is the guiding document for all of the iconic frameworks and all the different character classes that are kind of those oddball ones that you've never seen before. Especially if you're converting anything over from the Rifts OCC classes that you're trying to bring in from the other books. I would start there and try to pick and choose those edges that match up what the character class is and just get the concept right and then worry about the mechanics later.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. Power Armor Soldier is next on the list.
One of my favorites.
So this combat specialist wears a suit of exceptionally powerful combat armor. Now, my question would be, outside of Rifts, bringing a character into Rifts and using this powered armor soldier, what would be a good example of a character or a person that wears power armor outside of the Rifts universe?
A Robotech Cyclone armor pilot. The Robotech Cyclone armor pilot. You know, the one where the motorcycle transforms into the body armor, and he has like a mini missiles on his forearms, and he has a laser gun side gun. That would be if you wanted to bring in a pilot from any of the Robotech series, I would use the power armor soldier for him. That would be a good example. Or Iron Man. That would be
Iron Man.
Example.
Yeah. What about what are the colored the oh man the ones that all
girls from Bubblegum Crisis?
What about all the ones that combine together into the giant guy?
Voltron. Voltron. Yeah, the 5 lions.
No, I'm thinking of something else, and it's sad. But there's
Transformers.
Okay, I just thought of it. The Power Rangers.
Yeah, the Power Rangers. One of my son's favoriteest groups. Yeah, if you wanted to play the Power Rangers, you would probably be a robot armor pilot
instead of the power armor soldier.
Instead of the power armor pilot. Yeah, because you know, the giant machines that they run around in, they're more considered, you know, Godzilla-sized robots.
Okay, I see. So yes, okay, I see. Yeah, no, we're on the same page now. Very cool. Yeah. Power armor, jock edge. You can select any suit of power armor. I guess if you're going to bring in Iron Man into Rifts, you can have a very specific set of power armor. You might actually have to do some kind of conversion to figure it out. Maybe there's something in Rifts already that's similar.
I would just pick the stats. Yeah, I would pick the stats from one of the power armors that already exists. I would take like an NGX9 Samsung, and I would just use the stats for that one, or even the Flying Titan. You know, size 1, +8 armor MDC, +3 toughness, and he has 2 dual link light lasers, 1 in each hand, and 2 mini missile launchers. Instead of the mini missile launchers, just give him, you know, the chest laser that does the same damage, that has the same stats. No one's gonna know, and no one's gonna check it, and no one's gonna argue with you. As long as the GM says it's okay, that is gonna be your Q&D version of how you're gonna do that. You know, your quick and dirty method of how you're gonna take that. Just take an existing one. Convert over the weapons, the boosters, some of the stats, or whichever one that you think kind of fits into it. You could use that one, the Flying Titan, the Super Trooper, even the Predator. It just depends on, you know, the different options that you want to have as a pilot. Because you got to remember, Iron Man had 20 different suits or whatever. So I'm sure you could come up with a different variation of the Iron Man suits that you could use. Just talk to your GM and work it out. It's all trappings in the end anyways. That is very true. He did have a lot of cool different suits of armor. Yep. And girlfriends. Yes. That's another show. The Psi Operator, a variation on the Operator concept. These agents focus on psionic abilities. Now, outside of Rifts, again, what would be your psionic character? A good example of a Psi Operator is the movie Hellboy. Hellboy's girlfriend, she was a pyrokinetic, right? A burster. That would be an example of a psionic operator. She was kind of a secret agent kind of girl that could light things on fire. Remember, she could explode whole townhouses and stuff with that kind of pyrokinetic ability that she had. That would be a good example of that. Like the Call of Cthulhu, like Cthulhu Tech. If anyone has ever played Cthulhu Tech before, that's like a high-tech version of Cthulhu with power armor and all kinds of monsters and other stuff. There's some characters in there that have psionic abilities. If you've ever played the sci-fi version of Savage Worlds, is there any psionic superheroes? Like, why is this sort of escaping my mind? I know that Aquaman, the Phoenix. Okay, the Phoenix from Marvel's X-Men. She's like her Professor X. There you go. That's exactly Professor X would be a good example. The White Witch, or the Scarlet Witch, I should say. I was thinking Aquaman, but he's like psionic fish guy. He's very unique psionic, that one, but still mental powers. World's crappiest superhero. Oh, brother. Anyways, what do they get? As a Psi Operator, what are you going to get if you roll on into Rifts? So you're going to start out with a psionics ability of D6, 10 ISP points. That's what you use to power your powers. And you're going to get, of course, the arcane background psionics for free. Then you get to select 3 powers from the Mind Melters list. Always awesome. Next up, you're going to get a repair skill at D8, and you're going to get the Mr. Fix-It edge, and it's substituting psionics for weird science. So instead of being able to use the Mr. Fix-It Edge to be able to repair a Techno Wizard item, you can repair psionic items, which are kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Then you begin with the Gadgeteer Edge. So you're going to be able to create a few of the psionic specialty items, Techno Wizard items that are built just for people with psychic powers. And any created gadget you use the Psi Operator's ISP. So it's just like the Techno Wizard, only it's like the Psionic Wizard kind of thing. You get to create psionic techno gadgets.
That's cool. So this is kind of like sort of a page straight out of Deadlands, where you can have like you're creating basically psionic weird science gadgets.
Yeah, it's like weird science, but they're powered by your mental energy by ISP instead, which is kind of cool. I kind of like that. I might be able to do something with that.
The Mind Melter's starting gear is what you get as well as the Psi Operator too. So you're going to get a little bit of that right out of the gate too.
Yeah, and we'll be talking about the Mind Melter, the Mystic, and a few of the other wizards, the Leyline Walker and stuff like that a little bit later in the series of podcasts. Yeah, that comes in a few more pages right around the corner, actually.
Robot Armor Pilot. It's a good idea to become familiar with the vehicle rules when selecting this package. Yeah, so this is the big piece of machinery when you're rolling in.
You're gonna, the Triax 1000 Ultimax armor, so awesome.
Well, okay, I'll take you. Does it have a poutine vending machine in the back? Maybe a hot dog dispenser, barbecue.
Hey, it's so big. It's got so many weapons on it. You could put a whole bar on the inside of that thing. I think it carries like 4 people. It requires 2 pilots. Can have an optional gunner and an optional like navigation person. A total of 4 people piloting the thing. It's awesome. For those of you who haven't gone over the robot vehicle rules, you may want to do that.
One of the legs is a nightclub.
Yeah, it's a huge piece of battle armor, right? It's made by the Triax company. It's just a really cool looking armor. I really like it. There's a lot of fun stuff you can do with it. But if you haven't looked at the vehicle construction the vehicle combat rules, take a look at that. On the Google Plus page, I created a worksheet, and I believe it's in the one called Ghost version 13. Yes, it's been iterated 13 times. There's an actual page in there where it goes over the vehicle combat rules, and it gives you all the summaries of all the different options that you have whenever using robots in combat. And it can get kind of crazy. We discussed it one day, and I think I started a wildfire when I started talking about mini missiles and robots and power armor. And I think there was like 70 different posts against that one question that I had put up there. So it was a pretty hot topic, but I think we've narrowed that down now. So if you haven't taken a look at that, go take a look at the Google Plus page. It has some other options there for you to be able to take a look at robot combat. And of course, because you're a robot armor pilot, it lets you select one suit of available robot armor. So take a flick through the books for a little bit and see what you find that's gonna do what you want to do. There's lots of fun stuff in there.
Yeah,
there's the gun wolf is a nice one. The Behemoth Explorer. You got the X500 Forager, the Triax 535 Hunter, the TR001 Titan. That one's always cool. The Forager. I'm not familiar with that one. Oh, one of my favorites, the X545 Super Hunter. It's a size 5 robot. That should tell you something. It's super ginormous. It has a crew of 1, a strength of D12 plus 5, a toughness of 29. Wow. Yes, you heard that right. A toughness of 29. And it is mega damage armor. You have 2 dual-linked medium ion cannons, mini missile launchers in the forearms, the shoulders, the lower legs, a vibro sword for each forearm, and just because it's not enough fun, you get flamethrowers in the knees. Always awesome. Just craziness of the amount of damage that thing can put out. But the Super Hunter is pretty cool. I really like how fast it can move for a robot of its size. I think it has a pace of like 12 or 13 or something like that.
I'm just imagining that if you were outside of your power armor, you and your other pilot guy, and he gets killed as you're trying to run back to your power armor, your robot armor.
Your robot armor. Yeah.
And you get in it, and now you're trying to get away, but there's only one of you operating a 2-man ship. It would be like trying to drag half of your armor with, you're like only half your body, one arm, one leg works. The other one, you're just kind of dragging as you're trying to get away from whatever is trying to kill you.
In some of the armors, I mean, you have to go look in some of the details of the original Rifts books to kind of get the details of how they're powered or how they're piloted. Some of the robot armors will allow one crew member to do the shooting and the piloting and all that other stuff. Some robot armors require 2 to 4 additional gunners, navigators, co-pilots in order to manage a machine of that size, because at the end of the day, it is just a machine. It's like driving a semi-truck down the street. Sometimes it helps to have a guy next to you to be able to tell you, hey, you're going to hit that corner as you turn the corner, because you can't see out the window that way. It just depends on the different types of armors you have. But most of the time, one pilot can be a gunner, a pilot, a navigator, and do all of that stuff. And then they can take on extra crew just as passengers. There could be one guy doing all the work, and then there could be 4 extra seats for people to ride in. Yeah,
that's very cool. It says that you get 1 less roll on both the hero's journey and the Mars Fortune and Glory table. Now, that kind of sucks, but you are riding around in a giant ass friggin' tank of robot armor, which is really neat, right?
With armor of 29, or with a toughness of 29 with armor of 14, it's mega damage. It probably has like 12 weapons on it. It probably does more damage than the glitterboard weapon combined if you add all the number of dice that you have to roll to hit with that thing. Plus, you can do stuff in a robot armor that power armor can't. Like if you have a pilot and a gunner, you can each be firing a gun and take no multi-action penalties. But if you do multi-action penalties and there's 2 of you, now you can do 4 shots on 4 different weapons in the same round with only a -2 penalty. So yeah, see the look, I can see the stars in his eyes, ladies and gentlemen. He's thinking like, how many guns can I fire with how many weapons and how many people can I need to look up robots. He's starting to look them up right now.
I gotta check that stuff out. We're down to the last 3. The Rogue Scholar, dedicated to uncovering the mysteries and truths of the past. So your typical Rogue Scholar,
Lara Croft, Tomb Raider.
Fantastic, great.
That would be an awesome adventurer, right? And that's what she is. She's an archaeologist, a historian. She likes to go after weird, investigating, different types of magical items and stuff like that. I mean, what more could you ask for if you threw Lara Croft in there? Yeah. Indiana Jones.
Yep, I was just thinking of him as well.
Scholar. Yeah, I mean, those are probably the 2 biggest male and female adventurers, quote unquote, that are considered scholars out there today in terms of the fantasy writing out there. That would be great for them to be able to go do that and throw them into rifts and give them a few extra edges and some experience points. You could make your own version of Indiana Jones, and it would be awesome.
Yep. So you're going to get an extra 5 skill points. You're going to get knowledge skills at a D8 and a scholar edge. Investigation D8, streetwise. You get the investigator edge. You get all sorts of stuff. And then these rogue scholars.
All those rolls, and you still get 20 points of experience points.
Plus all that.
In addition to all of that.
Yeah, these are definitely the Lara Crofts and the Indiana Jones of Rifts. Not big fighters, more investigation, that kind of stuff, which is pretty slick. The Vagabond, the ultimate wanderer, explorer, and Renaissance person. 5 skill points. Gifted. What is gifted? Vagabonds make all oh, nice. See, that's super handy right out of the gate. Gifted. Vagabonds make all unskilled checks at a D4 instead of a -2.
Yeah. In your book, you need to put a line in your book over Vagabond, and you need to write in murder hobo.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
That's what it is. That's what it is, right? They've wandered the countryside going from, hoboing off of trains and, hitching rides here and there. And they've learned lots of different skills and abilities. They might not be good at it, but they can pull it off every once in a while. They do a decent job.
Yep. You're going to get the luck and hard to kill edges, which is pretty good. And you could take the crazy starting gear. The very last one is the Wilderness Scout. So Wilderness Scout, a ranger scout for the post-Rifts world who is an expert in traveling and living in the places between civilizations.
Rambo.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, exactly right. That's pretty sweet. So you're going to get an extra die type to your vigor, some notice, some survival, some tracking, fleet-footed, and woodsman. You're quite literally like... You're just like a ranger, your typical ranger class.
Yeah. What was the name of the elf from Lord of the Rings?
I don't know, because elves suck. His name was Legolas, and his name says it all. It says exactly what I think about elves. Ass. Legolas.
You could also be the human ranger who was the future king.
I mean,
that could be a wilderness scout, right? Because that's pretty much what he did. He wandered the wilderness. He guided people from point A to point B. He was good with a sword. He was quick. He had a lot of wilderness skills as a woodsman. So, and that's what he was known as throughout the realm. So I that's a good example. Conan, I would make as a wilderness scout.
Yep, just living off
you
the
know,
land.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the vigor, right? He's got the toughness. Throw the extra points that you're getting for your advancements into your strength. You don't need armor. Just give him the brawny edge, and you're good to go.
So I'm starting a Shintar,
yeah.
I'm starting a campaign or a game session, I guess a short campaign or something like that with Stefan Dragonspawn. And character creation is due, so I made an orc. But as I was going through the different races, I come across the dwarf. And I'm reading the dwarf, and it's like, oh yeah, they live to be a couple hundred years old, but they mature at the same age as humans. So roughly by the time they're 16, they're approximately the same intelligence or whatever as a human would be, but they live 200 years longer. And this is, I don't know why, if it's just me, I know I'm retarded, but this is my problem with elves and dwarves. They live to be frickin' 200 to 500 frickin' years old, but never get any smarter than a human that lives 70 years.
I agree with you. Why wouldn't they have better skills? Well, if they're only, middle-aged at most, 40, 45 years old, they'd be just like a human. They'd have 20 years of experience learning how to do something. But if they were 245, okay, wait a minute. You have to start looking at that a little differently.
You would think that they would have like an extra assortment of skills, but really, like let's take Dungeons and Dragons for example.
Well, you can give them the gifted skill, just like it says under Vagabond. All
they're gifted, all right.
Checks become a certain dice.
In
you just
D&D,
don't like them at all on principle.
Yeah, it's just there is no benefit. You know how age, it's just a little spot you can write the number in, because there's no benefit from writing 25 or writing 225. Like there's nothing in there that says for every 50 years a dwarf gets like 5 new skills. they don't get, they're 200 years old and just as dumb as a 25-year-old. Right?
I love it.
Anyways, drives me
change
mental.
It. You know what? If you don't like it, change it. It's your game, man. That's what it's all about.
So that's the last one we got here is the Mars Fortune and Glory table.
This thing allows you to roll. Okay, so you're going to roll a D12. There's 12 different sections to it. And you're going to get to roll, I think, 3 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
yeah.
You get to roll 3 times on the table. Yeah, usually 3. So we'll start with the lowest and the highest, just as an example. If you roll a 1, you get a mighty weapon. Your hero may choose a single weapon from the close combat or ranged weapons personal section. Alternately, you gain the trademark weapon edge for one of your starting weapons, which is very cool. You get choose your fate, select any other result on the table, or gain 2 rolls on the hero's journey tables of your choice.
Yep.
And there's lots of variations in between that. I mean, those are the extremes, right? If you rolled a 7, you get strong and powerful. You add 1 die type to your strength and begin with the brawny edge. If you rolled a 10, you get charming and well-traveled. Your hero begins with charismatic and 1 Noah guy edges. And that's just the beginning, folks. I mean, you get 3 more rolls on the hero's journey tables. In some cases, you can even get extra rolls on that. And then to top it all off, 20 experience points. That's 4 advances. In the Savage Worlds game, you can bring up a skill by 1 die type for every advance, or you can choose an edge, or you can choose to bring up one of your statistics like vigor and agility and strength up by a die type. And then you still have a couple of more left over. That doesn't include all the skill bonuses and all the other stuff that the packages give you.
Yeah. When you read what the purpose of it is, like the Mars is the way that you bring other things into Rifts, and knowing that Rifts is basically turning the dial up to 11 and breaking it off. That's what they always say. And then you're like, okay, how do I bring my Grail in, or my Atani, or my 50 Fathoms character, or my Deadlands character, and turn the dial up to 11 and break the knob off? But this, I was concerned that it would be a lot more difficult, is actually probably the better word, than it is, because this really just makes it simple. Here's a bunch of stuff, tack this on, take your seasoned, get your advances, have some gear, and make a couple of rolls on a few different tables. It's literally that easy.
Sure, and I totally agree with you. I think everybody has the same kind of fears that you had. You know, how am I going to convert this in? How hard is it going to be? What am I going to be giving up? What am I not going to be getting? It's totally up to you and your GM. It's your game. Make it yours. Translate it however you want. If you have a character in another world that is a hero level character, has 5 advancements, 25 experience points or whatever in Savage Worlds, and you don't want to lose all that stuff, then don't. Talk to your GM and say, hey, instead of instead of getting +5 skill points, can I just add on everything else and I'll keep all the powers and abilities that my character currently has and bring them into the Savage Rifts game? If that's what makes you happy and that's what's going to make you play that character better or give you the power that you want, go right ahead. Because there's always a glitter boy, there's always a glitter boy killer, there's a triax, or there's a big missile launcher, a nuke, a giant Godzilla character. There's always going to be something bigger, badder, and better and stronger than you are. So don't worry about the power level creep. This is one of the few games where you don't have to worry about that. Just come in, make the character, and play him to your heart's content. And if you're, like I say before, if your GM's worth his salt, you'll get the game that you want to play. You'll get the game that you want out of it.
What I like about Savage Worlds is that a novice character can be playing in the same game as a veteran. Sure, the veteran's going to have a few more edges.
And holding their own.
And holding their own, yeah. What you get between the two of them, there's a lot of advances and a lot of skills and benefits and bonuses along the way. And there's a big gap between being a novice and being like a veteran or a legendary. But you could still put them together, play Wild West, because you're still shooting a gun at D6. The other guy might have some sharpshooting modifications and stuff like that. But
right.
Yeah, it's one of the few systems where you can take unlike D&D, you can't really put a first level character up with a 20th level character because something looks at you funny and your face melts off.
Right? Yeah, you're right. If you start with a beginning character and you start with a character that's like, a hero or a legendary status, 20th level, quote unquote, for D&D, this is one of the few games where you're both going to be able to do the same thing. Just the legendary character is probably going to be more often successful at what he's trying to do versus the lower level character. But you can still attempt it. You can still both have the same equal shot at trying to do it. It's just the odds are going to be in the favor of the more experienced character because that's the way the system is set up. And Rifts is one of the few places where you can take Conan, Iron Man, Hellboy, and throw them all into a rift and say, okay, you guys fall out of a rift and Godzilla's in front of you, or Cthulhu shows up out of the ocean, that kind of stuff. And it's a really, really a great, not only a world to play in, but a great system to be able to throw that stuff against the wall and see what sticks.
Run away. That's something that you need to learn when you play Savage Worlds.
Well, we learned it a long time ago when the systems weren't as diverse and they weren't as robust as they are now. But yeah, learn to run away. Learn to walk away from the fight. You don't have to go in there and it's not a video game. You don't have to knock the dragon's hit points to 0 to win. There's no winning. Just because you got one shot off and ran doesn't mean you lost the fight.
Sweet. So that's it for the Mars. We're done. I'm surprised we got through it. I was expecting that we would have to maybe split it up into multiple segments, but
I was too.
Yeah, that's that. Lickety split. So
it's a lot simpler than you think. It just takes a little bit more thought.
Yeah. All right. Well, that said, let's get into the fray and wrap this bad boy up.
Whoa, bloody hell. Oh man, I love this guy. Do we have to go yet? Yes. Oh, please. Of course we do. We've got work to do. Please can we stay just a little bit longer? Stop it, Jeffrey. Right, come on back through the rift there. Fine. Tally ho.
All right, that sweet sound of that rift opening means it's time to pack up and portal out. We're going to Thelma and Louise style this rift again.
I'm driving this time.
Well, fair
no
enough.
more going off the cliff with you, Gary.
Get the poutine power armor, man, and let's just go for a burn.
You guys can reach us at themurderhoboshow@gmail.com or get us on Twitter. If you can keep it under 140 characters, at Murder Hobo Show. Or, of course, you can reach me over in the Google Plus page, Murder Hobo Show under the Nerds International banner. And as usual, Savage Rift's Google Plus page, that's where the community is up and active all the time. 527 listeners. Want to give a big shout out to all the Google Plus community. You guys make this community. I don't make this community. Gary doesn't make this community. You guys do it. All your postings, all your discussions, all of the wonderful folks that are out there helping us build this really great role-playing game here called Savage Rifts. I absolutely want to give you guys a big shout out and a big thank you to all of the podcasters, all of the artists, all of the people who put out role-playing games, and anybody who's worked on Savage Rifts. Thank you so much for a great game. I look forward to the next couple of years. I'm sure there's still a lot of gaming left.
Absolutely. ZOVYA over at Patreon has created some new tiers for people looking to get into her back catalog, and some great news. She's finally reached her goal to get the sci-fi and modern RPG maps out. So look for that happening this week. I believe I saw one of the posts say that she's going to put up her first sci-fi, modern, or post-apocalyptic map by the end of this week. So a couple more days and she'll be good to go. Also, I will be releasing a special one-sheet that I was inspired to make named Behold Garnet Town. It's a little side adventure that returns the party to Garnet Town for a quick little side quest adventure. Commander Titan Ironlight went off to investigate some suspicious activity at Garnet Town's Nexus Point and never returned. Garnet Town has asked for your help to find out what happened. So, yeah, I'm going to...
Yeah, that's, if you guys are looking for a really great adventure and really unique, Gary's done a wonderful job at putting this together. So you guys got to pick this up. You guys got to go take a look at it. Gary, where are you putting that out?
I'm going to drop it right into the Savage Rifts Murder Hobo Show deal, and it'll be in a few other places. I'm sure you won't be able to miss it. I'll throw it up on Twitter. I'll put it on the Murder Hobo Show page on the Google Plus community, and on the Savage whatchamacallit things. Now, I've got it all fired up. I asked Eric Lamoureux to take a once-over, make sure that I didn't spell anything incorrectly, and he's given me some great tips and some good advice. I got to touch a few things up, and hopefully it'll be ready to go shortly after, or as soon as I get this thing edited and ready to go.
That's awesome. I can't wait to play it, Gary. We got to plan a game. You got to run that for me.
I'm going to build it inside of Tabletop Stimulator and get her done. Is there anything else that you... Yeah, is there anything else that you needed to bring up or throw out there? Anything you got on the go?
No, busy life, busy wife. Lots of family and kid stuff going on this fall. I'm looking forward to setting up a few things. Take a look at the Ghost character sheet along with the Wraith GM pack that's sitting on the Google Plus page. The Naruni weapons catalog is a lot of fun. Just on a side note for the Google Plus community, now this is breaking. Nobody knows about this. Not even Gary does. Breaking it right here for you guys. The Google Plus community has put out so much stuff over the last 12 months. I can create almost a 70-page document that is going to be called the Savage Rifts Magazine Annual for 2017. You guys should be seeing that around Christmas. It's going to be a free PDF that anybody on the Google Plus Savage Rifts page can download. It's going to be a compilation, a cleaned up, edited version of all of the conversions and everything else that everyone has put in. I've downloaded all that information, and I've been going through that over the last couple of months. So hopefully, wish me luck. If I don't get sucked up in the great nexus point of a black hole that the Murder Hobo Show is, I should be able to finish that by December, and you guys should have that for Christmas.
Victor, you have just bit off a large chunk of trouble, mister.
Yeah, no, I've got quite a bit of it done, honestly. I think I've edited about 35 pages so far. I'm about halfway through it. It's not taken me as long as I thought. A lot of the guys really got their stuff together, so it's mostly just cleaning up the mess that's there and formatting and putting it into a document. It's not as hard as you think it is. I'm kind of used to doing it, but I have fun doing it because I get to look at everybody's different conversions and different monsters and iconic frameworks and all their different translations of stuff. I mean, we've got characters from Overwatch that are in there. I've got what are they called? Cyber dogs that are in there. Different monsters, different character classes. There's even illithid mind flayers for Savage Rifts with the Savage World stats in them. And I'm definitely going to throw in the Behold Garnet Town adventure, and that would be a lot of fun to do. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, speaking of you tossing all of your stuff into a PDF, that reminds me of Giuseppe Rotondo over at GG Studios. We did an interview with him a little while ago, and when we were talking to him, they put out a bunch of PDFs and one-sheets and stuff like that, and it's all in Italian and stuff like that. You can't get it over here. But the cool part about it is they do the same thing. They basically take all of their stuff and they put it into this sort of one great big Savage Worlds end of the year compilation, which I think is a fantastic idea. So I'm really excited to get my hands on the Riffs one that you tossed together, especially because I know firsthand how much material there is on that.
There's a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be massive.
I had to pick and choose. Honestly, I think I had about 200 pages, and after I got all the fonts and all the characters and all the pictures and everything into a fairly average or decent size, it narrowed it down to about 70 something pages, and I've had to go and take some stuff out and reformat some things. But yeah, there's a lot of content in there. A lot of content.
That's very cool. All right, well, let's put a pin in this episode. Tune in next time. We're going to have another action-packed show. We're going to be tackling more in the character section of the Player's Guide. There is a lot of material in this amazing setting. Psychic powerhouses, iconic frameworks coming up. We've got the Burster. What else is in there? We've got the Mind Melter. And then I believe
one of my favorites, the Mind Melter.
Now, those are the only two that are the psychic powerhouses, I believe, right? The Burster and the Mind Melter. And then we go into the Masters of Magic, which is going to be the Leyline Walker, and if my PDF would load, I would know what the other ones
were.
The
Mystic.
Okay, yeah.
The Mystic's another one. The Techno Wizard is another one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then we get into the Flame Wind Dragon Hatchling. And,
so we'll start talking a lot about the DBs, a lot of the mutants. The Dragon Hatchling is always a fun. This is one of the reasons why I ever picked up this game, to be honest with you. I started looking through it, and someone told me, you can play a dragon in Rifts. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yes, you can.
Seriously? They had to show me the page because I did not believe them. And as soon as I saw that, I've been a Rifts fan ever since.
Yeah, so that's coming up. Psychic powerhouses. Next on the Savage Rifter podcast. The Murder Hobo Show is not affiliated with or endorsed by any companies mentioned on this show. Any of the products mentioned on our show or appear on our website are the property and copyright of their respected owners. All items are used under fair use and for educational and review purposes. All other items are the intellectual property of the Murder Hobo Show, copyright 2017, all rights reserved.